The sky over Abuja had been threatening all afternoon. The kind of heavy grey sky that felt personal, like it had something against you specifically. Elena Adeyemi was running late from a client meeting on the mainland and had taken a back route through Gwarimpa to avoid the go-slow on the expressway. That was when she saw her. A young woman, maybe 22, 23 at most, crouched near the fence of an abandoned filling station, her bag clutched to her chest like it was the only thing she owned in the world, which, from the look of things, it probably was. The rain had already soaked through her blouse and her braids were plastered flat against her face. Elena's foot pressed the brake before her mind fully agreed to it. "Drive! You don't know this girl." The sensible voice was quick. "You're already late. Raymond is waiting." But her hands didn't move to the gear. She rolled down the window. "Hey!" The girl looked up, startled, eyes red-rimmed but alert. "How long have you been standing there?" "Since before the rain started, ma." Elena exhaled slowly. "Get in." Her name was Lisa Okeke, from Enugu. She told the story in careful pieces, the way people do when they are afraid of being disbelieved. A distant aunt who had promised her a job in the city, a job that never existed, a phone that had been stolen, and not enough money for the bus back home. She said it all staring at her hands in her lap, not asking for anything. That was the part that got Elena. She hadn't asked. "You said you have nowhere to go tonight." "No, ma." "Okay." Elena kept her eyes on the road. "You come with me. We'll sort out the rest in the morning." Raymond was standing in the sitting room when they walked in, his tie already loosened, a plate of warmed jollof rice on the table beside him. He looked at Elena, then at Lisa, then back at Elena with that very specific expression she had come to recognize as, "We need to talk in the kitchen immediately." "Elena?" His voice was pleasant. Dangerously pleasant. "I'll explain," she said simply. The kitchen conversation was, as expected, brief and heated. Raymond was not a cruel man, but he was a practical one. "Give her transport money and let her go home in the morning," he said, keeping his voice low. "We don't know this girl." "She doesn't have a home to go to in the morning, Raymond. Not here." "Then she can go back to Enugu." "On what? She has nothing." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Elena." "She can walk," Elena said. "Mama Titi has been asking me for months to get help around the house. Lisa can help here, earn a proper wage, send money home, leave when she's ready. That's all." Raymond looked at her for a long moment. "I don't like this. I know. But fine." He picked up his fork. "Fine. But any nonsense and she goes. Immediately." Lisa was given the small room beside the kitchen. She thanked Elena 3 times and Raymond once, and spent the rest of the evening quiet and unobtrusive, like someone who had learned that the best way to stay somewhere was to take up as little space as possible. That night, Raymond turned off the bedside lamp and said into the darkness, "You and your heart, Elena." Elena smiled. "Go to sleep." By the end of the first month, Lisa had become a fixture in the house. The kind of presence you stop noticing because it's just there, like the hum of the generator or the squeak in the third stair. She was good. Better than good, actually. The first morning, Elena came downstairs to find the kitchen sparkling, breakfast already plated, and Raymond's shoes, which he had been complaining about for 2 weeks, polished to a shine he hadn't seen since his wedding day. Raymond said, turning his shoe over in his hand like he discovered gold. So, this is what shoe polish is supposed to do. You've had that polish since 2019, Raymond. And it has been underperforming, Elena. Clearly the polish wasn't the problem. The applicator was. Elena laughed into her tea. The applicator being you. I refuse to confirm or deny. By the second week, even Raymond, Mr. We don't know this girl, had softened considerably. Mostly because Lisa had quietly figured out that the way to a Nigerian man's trust was through his stomach. Her eforiro had him going back for a third helping, which for Raymond was practically a marriage proposal. Lisa, he said one evening, scraping the pot with the dedication of a man on a mission. Where did you learn to cook like this? My grandmother, sir. She used to say, if a man's stomach is happy, his mouth will be quiet. Raymond pointed his spoon at Elena. You hear that? Wisdom. Why have I been married for 6 years and nobody taught me this proverb? Because I don't subscribe to that proverb, Elena said sweetly. Your mouth stays exactly as loud as it wants to be, food or no food. Cruel. Married to a cruel woman. Lisa. Take note. Lisa, clearing the plates, allowed herself the smallest smile. The kind she'd been rationing carefully since she arrived, like she wasn't sure yet if she was allowed to find anything funny in this house. It was small things at first. The kind of small things you explain away because the alternative explanation is inconvenient. Elena started feeling tired by 3 p.m. Not regular tired, bone tired. The kind where her eyelids felt like they had little weights sewn into them. She'd put it down to work stress. Her firm had just landed a big client and the late nights had been piling up. You're sleeping like someone who just gave birth, Raymond commented one Saturday, watching her wake up at noon, hair flattened on one side, blinking at the ceiling like it had personally wronged her. I'm just tired. You've been just tired for 2 weeks, Elena. Even Adaizi's baby doesn't sleep this much, and that baby's whole job is sleeping. Maybe I'm depleted, vitamin deficiency or something. That had actually happened. Elena had spent 20 minutes searching the house, patting down sofa cushions and accusing the houseboy from 2 doors down of theft. He hadn't been around in weeks. Before Lisa, gently, almost apologetically, pointed out that the keys were in the ignition, where Elena had left them, with the car door open, in the driveway, overnight. Anybody could have stolen that car, Raymond said, equal parts amused and concerned. Thank God for Nigerian thieves and their unreliable work ethic. It's not funny, Raymond. It's a little funny. Then there was the meeting. Elena had been a senior associate for 4 years. The kind of lawyer junior staff were a little afraid of because she remembered everything. Case numbers, court dates, the names of opposing counsel's children. So, when she walked into a partners meeting and drew a complete humiliating blank on a filing she herself had drafted 3 days earlier, the silence in the room had a texture to it. Elena? Mr. Adebayo, the senior partner, had asked, not unkindly. The Briggs filing. You did submit it? Yes. I mean, I think so. You think so? She'd gone home that evening and sat in the car in the driveway for almost 10 minutes before going inside, replaying the question in her head. I think so. When had she ever, in her entire career, said I think so about her own work? Raymond found her still sitting there when he came out to ask why the car was beeping. She'd left the door open again. Talk to me, he said, crouching by the window. And for once, there was no joke in his voice. She told him about the meeting, about the fog she felt like she was walking through, thick and grey, the same color as that sky the day she'd found Lisa. About sleeping 10, 11 hours and waking up feeling like she'd run a marathon in them. Raymond was quiet for a moment. Maybe you should see Dr. Chukwu. Get checked out properly. Blood work, the whole thing. I don't have time to be sick, Raymond. You don't have a choice about being sick, Elena. That's sort of how sickness works. He opened the car door for her. Come. Lisa kept your food warm. Eat something at least. It was the food comment, oddly, that planted the first seed. Not because Raymond meant anything by it. He didn't. He was simply being Raymond, a man who believed every problem in life could be solved by a hot plate of food and possibly a nap. But Elena found herself looking down at the tray Lisa brought up that night. Jollof rice, a generous piece of fish, a tall glass of the Zobo drink Lisa had started making for her specifically after Elena had mentioned once, that she liked it. And something in her chest went quiet and still, like a held breath. She ate the rice. She did not touch the Zobo. She told herself it was nothing, that she was being paranoid, that exhaustion did things to the mind, made you suspicious of shadows. Lisa had been nothing but kind. Too kind, if anything. The kind of quiet, careful kindness that made you want to protect her. But that night, when Lisa came to collect the tray and saw the full glass, something flickered across her face. Quick. Gone before Elena could be sure she'd seen it at all. You didn't drink your Zobo, Ma. Should I make you a fresh one? No, Elena said, keeping her voice light, almost sleepy. I'm fine. Maybe tomorrow. Lisa nodded, picked up the tray, and left. Elena lay in the dark for a long time after that, staring at the ceiling fan turning its slow circles. And for the first time in weeks, her mind felt almost clear. Tomorrow. Elena did not drink the Zobo the next day either, or the day after. She got good at it. Surprisingly good for a woman who, until 3 weeks ago, couldn't locate her own car keys while sitting in the car. She'd take a sip in front of Lisa, just enough to wet her lips, then set the glass down near the window where the potted hibiscus sat. Later, when Lisa wasn't around, she'd pour it into the soil. The hibiscus, oddly, had never looked better. Elena found that detail darkly funny, in a way she didn't share with anyone. By day 4, the fog began to lift. Slowly, like opening curtains one at a time in a room that had been dark for a very long time. She woke up at 6 a.m. without the bedside alarm screaming at her 3 times. She remembered, unprompted, that she had a dentist appointment on Thursday. She found her car keys in her bag, where car keys were constitutionally supposed to live. "You're looking like yourself again," Raymond said one morning, peering at her over his newspaper with the particular suspicion of a man who has learned not to trust good news. "What happened? Did Dr. Chukwu's number finally ring a bell in your spirit?" "I haven't called Dr. Chukwu yet." "Then what?" "I just slept better," Elena said, which was technically not a lie. She noticed Lisa watching her too. At first, she told herself it was nothing. Lisa was attentive. That was simply how she was, always anticipating what was needed before it was asked for. But there was a new quality to it now. A checking. Elena would catch Lisa's eyes flick toward her at odd moments when Elena reached for a second helping at dinner with actual appetite. When she laughed at one of Raymond's terrible jokes without the half-second delay that had crept into her reactions over the past month. When she stood up from the sofa without that little dizzy sway she'd gotten used to ignoring. She hadn't told Raymond, not yet. Partly because she had no proof, nothing but a feeling, a flicker on a young woman's face, and a hibiscus plant thriving on what may or may not have been sedated zobo. Partly because some small, stubborn part of her didn't want to be right. Lisa, soaked and shivering by that filling station, asking for nothing. Lisa with her grandmother's proverbs and her careful smile. Elena had pulled her out of the rain. The idea that she'd pulled something else into the house along with her sat heavy and sour in her stomach. So she watched, quietly. The way Lisa had once watched her, she realized, careful, unobtrusive, taking up no space at all. Each time, Lisa would look away quickly. Each time, the zobo glass would appear a little fuller than usual. The next day, a little sweeter. Once, Elena thought she caught the faintest medicinal smell underneath the hibiscus and ginger. Gone the moment she leaned in to confirm it, replaced by nothing but the ordinary kitchen smell of the house. She started keeping a small notebook in her bag. Dates, how she felt, what she'd eaten, what she hadn't. It felt absurd, writing things down like a woman building a case against her own housemaid, a girl she'd found shivering in the rain, a girl who called her Ma and laughed at Raymond's jokes and made a foriro that brought a grown man to his knees. But the notebook filled up anyway, page by careful page, because some part of Elena, the same part that had bricked the car that day without consulting the rest of her, was telling her this was important, that she should not. The turning point came on a Tuesday. Elena had told Lisa she had an early court filing and would skip breakfast. A lie. She had nothing until 11. Instead, She went back upstairs, sat on the floor behind the bedroom door, and waited. She heard Lisa come up 10 minutes later, heard the soft clink of a glass being set down on the dressing table. The zobo, freshly made, condensation already beading on the outside, exactly where it always was, waiting for Elena to come back from her shower and drink it, like she had every morning for 2 months. Elena heard Lisa pause, linger, the particular quality of a silence that wasn't just tidying up. She pushed the door open. Lisa was standing very still by the dressing table, a small brown bottle in her hand, no bigger than the kind eye drops came in. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. The bottle was already capped, already back in Lisa's apron pocket before Elena had fully processed what she'd seen. But not fast enough. Not nearly fast enough. "Ma," Lisa said. Her voice was very small. I was just... "What's in the bottle, Lisa?" The girl's hands were trembling now. The careful composure she'd worn like a second uniform for 2 months, cracking down the middle. "Ma, please. I asked you a question." And then Lisa did something Elena hadn't expected at all. Well, before we get into why she did it, do tell us where you are watching from. I love to see how far these amazing stories travel. Also, make sure to drop a comment, even if it's an emoji of how you are feeling. Enjoy! She sat down, right there on the floor in the middle of the bedroom, and put her face in her hands and started to cry. Not the careful, controlled tears Elena imagined a person might produce when caught, but loud, ugly, shoulder-shaking sobs, the kind that come from somewhere much older than 2 months. "I didn't want to hurt you, Ma," Lisa said between breaths. "I swear to God I didn't. It wasn't supposed to hurt you." Elena stood very still by the door, her own heart hammering. 2 months of careful notebook entries suddenly feeling very small and very real all at once. "Then what?" she said quietly. "Was it supposed to do?" Elena's hands were shaking as she dialed Raymond's number, her eyes never leaving Lisa, still crumpled on the bedroom floor. "Don't move," Elena said quietly. Lisa didn't. Raymond arrived in 20 minutes, record time, tires screeching into the compound. By then, Elena had already found Lisa's phone, tucked beneath a folded wrapper at the bottom of her travel bag, password scrawled on a slip of paper beside it, like an afterthought. "Sit down, Raymond. You need to see this." The gallery opened to dozens of photos. Different women, different houses, different cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Onitsha. Some recent, some clearly years old, the phone storage groaning under the weight of them. Screenshots of messages, notes with names, dates, small details. Husband travels Wednesdays. Wife takes sugar in tea. Drops, 4 in the evening, 2 at night. Raymond scrolled in silence, his face going grey. "Why?" Raymond's voice cracked. "Does it matter?" Lisa stood, brushing off her skirt with unsettling calm. "You'll call the police now. I know. I've been caught before. Twice. I always move on." The police came an hour later. Lisa didn't resist, didn't cry again. She simply walked out with the same quiet, unreadable composure she'd worn the night Elena found her in the rain. Except now, Helena understood it for what it was. Not vulnerability. Camouflage. That night, Raymond sat beside Elena on the bed, neither of them speaking for a long while. "We almost lost each other," he finally said, "over a stranger we let in." Elena nodded slowly, staring at the empty space where the Zobo glass used to sit. "Next time," she said quietly, "I'll still stop the car, but I won't stop looking." Raymond reached for her hand. And outside, for the first time in days, it began to rain again. Softer this time. Just rain.